Macomb 2020 has impacted my teaching in the classroom by teaching me the important elements of blended learning and tools to use to blend my classroom. It goes through and not just gives what it is, it also forces you to actually implement it in your classroom. And the implementing is sometimes the scary part. So having the support of the Macomb 2020 group and the teachers have really helped.
Well, how Macomb 2020 has impacted my teaching in the classroom. When I originally heard about the program, the first thing I thought about was the preparation that it would help in terms of my students taking the AP Psychology National Exam. Personally, my job is to make sure every student has the best possible chance to pass that exam. And that's my job, is to put them in an opportunity where they have this chance. And I always felt that there were certain methods that weren't reaching every single child that was in my classroom. In other words, that certain kids would benefit from more hybrid or a blended learning environment. So I originally set out for the exam. I had parameters in mind in terms of how they would help my students. And one thing that I immediately noticed is that we increased the amount of kids taking the exam. We went from the low 100s of kids signing up for this exam to 140 students, which is the most we've ever had in our school history of AP. And part of the reason is because many of the kids are benefiting from this style of learning. They're able to simply take what we have in the classroom, but then apply it in a different way that's being taught at home.
Macomb 2020 has impacted my teaching in the classroom by basically showing me that you can take technology, you can take the element of being in the classroom and totally blend them together. They don't have to be separate entities. I was always worried that with the blending of the classroom that my role as a teacher would be obsolete. If anything, I found that it has completely enhanced it. Kids go home, they actually get the material on Blackboard, then they come back to class, and we have some awesome instruction time where we get into great discussions. And if anything, I feel it really enhances their learning, and I've never had a group understand the material more than I have this year. So I have to say, Macomb 2020, a complete success.
Well, Macomb 2020 has changed my classroom definitely for the better. Quite a few points. I think especially the main aspect that learning now still continues even after the bell. But the great thing is they give us the tools and the know-how and the different type of blended situation to actually implement it into my current situation.
So most of my students have not experienced using technology in the classroom on blended learning environment, and it was a new experience for us. We started blogging, so we have a classroom blog, and we started using Blackboard, and they created wiki pages to take notes on their project that they were working on.
Well, the students are able to communicate better. I teach in an accelerated program, so a lot of my students are very shy and they are afraid to ask questions. So with blended learning, they can do discussions online, they can email me questions that they wouldn't necessarily ask me in class. And that has made a huge difference for things that we talk about in class. I can do formative and summative quizzes online. The formative is great, it gives them feedback right away. And then if those that are struggling, I can send them extra websites for practice, or I can work with them one-on-one in the classroom. And summative, sometimes the quizzes grade them right for me instead of me grading them one-on-one. But I can also choose to grade by hand if I wanted to.
It's not just using technology. You are face-to-face with your students, which is a great thing, but they're engaged. They can work from home. I can work from home too, checking things out, and it makes me closer with my students because it builds a better relationship.
But what 2020 does is given me strategies, given me opportunities to teach kids about Google Docs, about Prezi, and so many different things that are out there that they have access to that they can then use, and then they can create presentations. They can not only be learners, but they can be teachers, and that's what's been exciting about it for me. So my kids have really learned.
With every new app that I show them and every new thing that we do, I feel more confident, and then they become more confident too. So where I was showing them and we were learning together, and now they're just going for it and doing it. So I feel like my comfort level has increased, and I'm looking forward to next year to see what next year brings.
Macomb 2020 has impacted my learning and teaching by, well, first of all, with the whole Blick program that was in the beginning, let me feel what it was like for the students on the other end of the computer, and knowing, kind of what frustrations and what successes they would feel. So that kind of helped me, in the classroom, know what my students would feel while they used Blackboard and the other programs.
What I found really, really powerful was I had a student who was on medical absence for 2 weeks in the first semester, which is always in the past has been a struggle. How do I help that person? They usually just send work and then they don't know what to do. So I had made a web page where she could access all the material, links to videos, links to sites that would help her with that, worksheets that she could download, and by the time she came back, she was right with the rest of the class. She had emailed me questions and I had helped her respond. We communicated online. It was just really powerful. And it just coincidentally happened when I was first learning how to integrate all this technology into the classroom.
The Macomb 2020 program has changed how my classroom environment looks. It's opened a lot of new doors for us. My students now blog, watch video clips online, do flip lessons, and now that gives us more time in the classroom to complete labs and other hands-on activities. And the student success rates have gone up, their test scores have gone up, and they really enjoy learning.
I'm really thankful that I had the opportunity to be a part of Macomb 2020 because it has changed some of the ways that I learn to, or changed some of the ways that I have taught some of my lessons in my teaching, and it's opened my eyes to different tools and websites that are available for free, and it's been beneficial for the students and their learning as well.